Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel where today I am going to be ranking the H.P. Lovecraft novellas. Reason being, I just finished reading the Ithaca cycle, which is an anthology of short stories based around the deity of Ithaca, of the Cthulhu mythos. So I thought, let's rank the H.P. Lovecraft novellas. So, the novellas in question that I'm going to rank today, in no particular order but just as an introduction, are Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, Whisperer in Darkness, At the Mountains of Madness, Shadow over Innsmouth, The Shadow Out of Time, and the Dunwich Horror. Now, if anyone is interested in these stories, you don't have to buy them because the works of H.P. Lovecraft are all on the public domain. So I will leave links in the description below to these stories because you can read them on the internet for free, basically. And also, where possible, there's been a lot of radio and podcast adaptations of the stories, so I will try to leave links in the description below as well if you want to listen to them in audio format. But without further ado, let's get ranking the H.P. Lovecraft novellas. So, at number 7, I am starting with Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Now, Dream Quest remained unpublished throughout H.P. Lovecraft's life, and typically it is sold or compiled or read together with the Silver Key and Through the Gate of the Silver Key, because the novella plus those two stories together comprise the cycle of dream adventures of Randolph Carter. Now, I put this at number 7 because it was a tough read the first time I gave them a go, and I think 2-3 months ago I tried to give Dream Quest another go and I DNF'd. It is too dreamy. It is way too out there. It is too weird. You go into the dreamlands, so obviously things are very sort of Salvador Dali-esque type thing. It's just a little bit complicated to. It's just not engaging enough. But the story relates and refers and references a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's works. So the city of Ulthar and Celephies, and we're in the Dreamlands, and it also references Richard Pickman, which is one of the main characters in the Pickman Models short story. So it's all linked together, but just a tough pill to swallow, and probably my least favorite of all of them. At number 6, we have The Shadow Out of Time. Now, this was published in June 1936 in Astounding Stories. Basically, it's kind of horror / sci-fi thing. So basically, it follows the great race of Gith, this sort of extraterrestrial race, who have mastered the traveling of space and time by swapping brains with like different species, people from different planets. So our protagonist suffers an amnesic episode where his brain gets taken over by the great race of Gith and he learns certain things and stuff like that. The horror elements are lacking for me there, but it's certainly way more readable than Dream Quest, which is why it merits a place above it. At number 5, we have The Whisperer in Darkness, which is very similar in theme to Shadow Out of Time. This was published in Weird Tales in 1931, and like I said, the themes are similar. This was influenced by the discovery of the planet, not anymore planet Pluto, which Lovecraft called Yugoth in his works, and again talks about an extraterrestrial race, the Migo, that kind of offer humanity sort of superior knowledge and a manner of space travel, although there's a catch. And I am not going to do any reveals here if you're interested, but this is a much more rounded story because it's got that classical, typical Lovecraftian twist at the end, so it's way more effective than Shadow Out of Time for sure, which is why it ranks a little bit higher. At number 4, The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Dexter Ward remained unpublished over the life of H.P. Lovecraft, and basically deals with our titular character, Charles Dexter Ward, who becomes obsessed with the works of one of his ancestors, a certain Joseph Kerwin, who had the ability to bring the dead back to life through some essential salts, so to speak, and things happen. Again, I think this story is sort of very sort of Lovecraftian in the sense of there are certain themes and elements to Lovecraft's work, and this one is that of the inability to escape some sort of family ancestral curse, so to speak, and we follow through Mr. Dexter Ward in that. At number 3, the classic Shadow over Innsmouth. It is the only Lovecraft work that was published in book form in his lifetime, and again it sort of follows similar themes to Charles Dexter Ward about the family curse thing. It establishes a lot of the lore in the mythos with creatures like the Shoggoth and the Deep Ones and ancient cults from Polynesia, Dagon and Cthulhu and all sorts of stuff, and it's a very, very classic tale. And this one actually had a pretty... I mean, Lovecraft has never had a decent movie adaptation, but this one had a pretty decent co-production American-Spanish in 2001, a movie called Dagon, that no movie adaptation of Lovecraft's work has been good enough, but this one I think is the best out of all of them, and it does a fairly decent job, although it translates the action from the US to Spain, but it does work. It does work, and it's got some very good classic Spanish actors in there, so it is worth a check if you are into the mythos. At number 2, I've got the classic At the Mountains of Madness. This was serialized in 1936 in Astounding Stories, and a little bit like The Whisperer in Darkness, it is influenced by real life events. So the action takes place or revolves around a failed Antarctic mission. Now, the race to the South Pole was in 1911, and Antarctica was still being explored by Richard Byrd, and at the time he was popular. It was one of the sort of the last places, one of the last few places on Earth is still unexplored. So he had that sort of resonance with the unknown. It's given ground to a lot of posterior works that have taken At the Mountains of Madness, and sort of other authors have added to the lore there. It was a little bit of a tough read first time round, but I read it when I was a teenager. Second time round, it's a lot better. Missed a few things out, and it works pretty well, and again establishes the lore about the ancient race and a history, a pre-human history of Earth where these ancient beings roamed the land. And finally, at number 1, I've got none other than the Dunwich Horror. Dunwich Horror, I think, is the pinnacle of Lovecraft's work. It is fantastic. It was published in 1929 in Weird Tales, and the story revolves around old wizard Whately, who basically pimps his daughter out to the outer god Yog-Sothoth in order to have a child whom old wizard Whately is trying to school in the occult to become this sort of priest worship of Yog-Sothoth. It is set in that sort of fictional New England landscape that Lovecraft created around Dunwich, Arkham in the Massachusetts area. The tone, the mood is fantastic. It has introduced the whippoorwills as these psychopomps, and it just works perfectly. Plus, the ending is brilliant. We've got possibly the best unsettling Lovecraftian twist to a story ever. Dunwich Horror, I would strongly recommend to anyone. Forget about if you want to delve into the mythos or Cthulhu and others. As a horror story, it ticks every box. It is nigh on perfection, and I cannot recommend it enough. But anyway, this is all I have for today. These are my recommendations. These are my thoughts and opinions on the Lovecraft novellas. I hope you enjoyed them. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I miss anything out? Let me know. Take loads and loads of care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.